Visual effects is a digital manufacturing line of sorts. I came to Hollywood as an engineer rather than an artist, but I loved my transition, and I always drew from my engineering background. I'm familiar with Purdue. They're great at engineering, and if you're good at math and science, that's a reasonable area to go into. A friend of mine was working for a forensic engineering company out of San Francisco. These guys were just implementing early computer animation systems to demonstrate complex cases. Really nice hybrid between engineering and computer-related imagery and animation. Those software systems ended up being the seeds of what were used for early computer animation in Hollywood. So many of the people I worked with ended up migrating into Hollywood. Took a job at Warner Digital, a division of Warner Brothers. Worked on a couple of movies, Mars Attacks and Eraser. So then I got involved with a new movie at the time, Batman and Robin, and did the implementation of Mr. Freeze's freeze ray. And that was a very complex particle-driven system. It had all these layers. It was probably the most technical thing I did in my Hollywood career. I wrote code that simulated movement and different coordinate systems. I used a lot of my engineering math to implement that. And I worked on From the Earth to the Moon with HBO. So another relevant thing to Purdue, just really studying that story, and we did all the computer-generated shots of the moon. It was the very beginning of my work in episodic television. I worked on a show called The Unit, which was a special forces show. Everything was shot in LA. So there would be almost every episode where we'd change a background. They'd be driving a truck and they'd need to be in Indonesia. So we would create a background through matte painting or sometimes 3D modeling. Through my independent work as a supervisor, I built relationships with a number of producers, executive producers, studio execs. So I basically went from being an independent supervisor to forming a company. And probably one of the most significant projects we worked on was Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was a television show with a lot of computer-generated imagery. We did spacecraft. They had this special airplane they called the bus, modified in the computer, and then all the engines rotated so it could take off vertically, and we did tons of animation with that. So we built the company around that one. We were doing the most volume of episodic visual effects work in the world. We would do 80 different projects at the same time in those 3 offices. I was part of the team that won an Emmy for American Horror Story. We had an actress playing Siamese twins. We would shoot each scene with her twice in each position, and then we would take the 2 performances and have to marry them together with digital skin connecting them. Our team won an Emmy, and it was nice to get that acknowledgement at that time. We acquired 3 different companies, and that's why we're 4 brands. And in all these locations, we built something with a very deep bench, many really qualified people running projects for us. And a lot of Marvel work, Captain Marvel, the last Indiana Jones movie, the Umbrella Academy. Loki was huge. We've got a few Emmy nominations for that. Did some work on Barbie. We have a hand in, so many different projects. One of the things I love about the business, it's a complete balance between right brain and left brain. It's very technical. You have to use some of the most complex software in the world. At the same time, you need to know what a good picture looks like. You need to know composition, integration, lighting. So the engineering background laid the groundwork for all that. That thinking was incredibly valuable.